This is gonna be fun.
What's going on, guys? It's the Entertainment Critic and welcome back to a review of Doctor Who Series 11, Episode 3, which is entitled Rosa. Now, I was a bit on the fence going into this episode, I'll be completely honest, because of the whole, obviously the central theme of the episode was politics, Rosa Parks. I'm sure most of you know who Rosa Parks was, what she stood for, and things like that. I'll go into what the episode touched on in this, but I won't go into her full story. If you wanted to find that out, just Google her name and it'll come up pretty much straight away. But getting straight into the review, I honestly thought it was one of the best episodes the show has ever done. And I don't say that, I'm not just saying that, I really do mean that. There were so many good things in this episode. Maybe not the main villain, Krasko, didn't really stand out to me. I understand what he was, and for what he was good, but he didn't really stand out to me. I think none of the main antagonists have really stood out to me so far in the season. Maybe Tim Shaw in the first episode did. He was intimidating, but the planet in the Ghost Monument didn't really stand out to me that much. It was more the things going on in that episode that interested me, and it's the same in this episode. Kresk didn't really interest me. His scenes with the Doctor were interesting, but as a villain, he wasn't really that interesting. But obviously the main point of this episode was to show the story of Rosa Parks, and it did that well. It didn't take lightly of her story, and it didn't overdo it. It was like in the middle. Basically, I think it was perfect near enough. It didn't People were praising the episode in reviews. People were praising the episode for showing I believe the words are uncensored view on history of what happened, and I kind of have to agree with that. They don't really hold back on what actually happened. Like right from the outset of the episode, when Ryan tries to help a lady drops something and he goes to give it back to her, and the guy just punches him because of because of Ryan's ethnicity, which obviously now that wouldn't be okay, but like then that was just normal then. So right from the offset, you knew what the episode was gonna be about, but it wasn't all like down, and it wasn't all focused around Rosa. There were some character moments and development for Ryan and Yasmin. Graham had some great moments. The Doctor is just amazing, and she's been amazing since she started. One of the standout moments for her has to be when they were in the motel and they were trying to get information on Rosa. She just starts drawing on the wall. And Graham says, no, you can't do that. And she's like, oh, it's a special pen, don't worry about it. It's like, you're not Banksy. And she's like, or am I? I don't know. It's just her lines are just great. I think she has the best character for a very long time. Probably since 2013, Matt Smith. Peter Capaldi was a completely different nutshell for character. He was more of the dark hero. She's more fun, energetic, and more entertaining, I'd have to say. And going into the actual plots of Rosa, I really did like it. I'm gonna keep saying I really did like it, but I did. The actress that played Rosa Parks was really good, and the music that goes along with Rosa Parks, and her theme whenever she was on the screen, that was really good. I think Akinola keeps doing an amazing job with the soundtracks for Doctor Who Series 11. It's some of my favorite music for a long time. Since Series 7 with Murray Gold, he started getting stale and doing the same sort of tracks over and over and over again. And it's just nice to have fresh music. And they're not bombastic, they're subtly into the back of the episode. So like the Doctor's theme, Rosa's theme. Maybe Rosa's theme could be a little overpowering, but what you got from Rosa's theme was freedom, and that was what you were supposed to get from her as a character, so I think it perfectly fitted in with the episode. And then I'm gonna quickly jump to the ending of the episode right now, and then I'll go back, work my way back. I know that's a weird way of doing it, but it's the way I want to do it. I want to talk about the stuff to do with Rosa in bulk, and then I'll go on and talk about the other things. So, I'm gonna talk about the ending scene now, and that ending scene was really, really, really powerful. Um, Basically, it's a reaccountment of what happened. So, Rosa Parks refused to stand up on the bus when in I believe it's 1950s Montgomery, Alabama. I'm gonna sound really stupid if that's wrong because I'm literally reviewing the episode where they tell you when it was in, but I believe it was 1950s. And she refuses to stand up, and it causes outrage among a bunch of different people. She ends up getting arrested for it, and it changes the way everything works in America for like the future. But it like there's a quote which Ryan says, which is true. It's not perfect, but it gets better. So yeah, that is you agree with that. That is right. But moving on, I'm gonna go back to talk about Kresk a bit more. I think his name is Kresk. The villains in this series are like, yeah, they're not the best, but it's not the villains that matter in this series. It's the main characters that are so good, which is why I'm enjoying it so much. But Kresk he was basically just the person who wanted to stop people from getting rights in America. He went back in time. He called it a hobby, and he went back in time and he couldn't hurt anybody. Stormcage, which is actually a reference to something that's happened previously in Doctor Who, and I like how they're doing the references to the last 50 years of the show, because they're not doing it in a way where it's central to the plot, because it's not. You don't really need to know about Stormcage to understand Kresk. All you need to know is he's a villain that escaped from a prison. But if you have watched the previous episodes or the previous series of the show, you then understand that reference, and there's a nice little payoff for the people who've been watching it for a long time. So Stormcage was actually the prison which held Riversong in the Stephen Moffat era, and that was visited a lot through series 5 and 6. Obviously in series 7, Clara erased all of the Doctor from the Dalek memory banks and all of history, so she was let go and she was pardoned, but that was where she was held throughout Series 5 and Series 6. So that was a nice little reference, and people all over social media want Riversong and Crest to team up, but honestly, Chris Chibnall has specifically said, he gave us a list of characters that aren't going to be returning ever. So we had the Paternoster gang, which was Strax, Jenny, and Madame Vestra. Then there was the Weeping Angels that aren't returning, and I think that's good. They should keep the Weeping Angels in the Moffat era. They're his characters, and he should have the rights to them. They shouldn't be cheapened by anybody else. I know somebody else could do them good, but I think it's good they're keeping them in that era. And Riversong was also on that list. And now Riversong is a character, and so are the Weeping Angels, that have spanned across the Russell T Davies era and the Moffat era. But I believe the episodes that they were in were written where Stephen Moffat had something to do with them, so they are technically his characters still. So I like that they're keeping them in that era. Anyway, I've got off track from the episode. Going back, like I was saying about Kresk, he wasn't that appealing. His scenes with the Doctor where he's like, "What is that supposed to make me not want to shoot you?" And she's like, "Ideally, yes." I like those scenes, and then where she throws up his equipment, and like, "Oh, you just sent your equipment to God knows where." That was good. Any scene with Jodie I don't know why, I just like her. Well, I do know why. She's really good as a Doctor. She has that energy about her that you want in the character, and she's so excited for every situation. Because when they find the briefcase in the, I think it was a church or a warehouse or whatever it was, she crouches down to her, say, "Is anybody else really excited? Because I am." It's like she has that energy, and it's really good. And then after, I'm gonna go back to the ending of the episode now. So I liked the music that they played over that ending scene, the Rise Up. I think it was Andrea Day that sang that song. I think it was the perfect choice for that song because it was supposed to be representing like freedom and what Rosa Parks stood for, and that song perfectly complements that. Moving on to the last part of the episode where the Doctor is in the TARDIS and she's talking to Ryan, Graham, and Yasmin about Rosa Parks, saying, well, what happened to her, and Ryan's like, it took her so long, it took her until like the 1990s to actually get recognized for what she did. And it's like, yeah, but she kept fighting, and she didn't just change the world, she changed the universe. There's actually, in the episode as well as in real life, there's an asteroid named after Rosa Parks. So I thought that was a nice little reference how they threw that in there. And yeah, I thought that was a nice way to end off the episode. It was a really, really nice, well, no, it wasn't a nice episode. It was a good episode, and it told near enough accurate account of what happened in history, and it showed history as it is. History is a horror story, and that's what this episode shows you. Um, Moving on to the last thing I want to cover is Graham in that ending scene. I know I'm talking about the ending scene a lot, but it's the scene that sticks in my mind the most from the episode, so I'm gonna want to talk about and touch on it a lot. I'm sorry about that, but I want to just Graham and Ryan's reaction to what they have to do, because they become a part of history. They have to stay on the bus because the bus has to be full for Rosa to have to stand up. So they had to stay on the bus, and Graham had to become, or he had to he had to become the reason why she was arrested, and he couldn't do that because his wife Gracie, who died, was actually a big supporter of Rosa Parks. So it hurt him in a way that it was like he didn't want to do it. It felt like he was like not. It felt like he was doing something to cheapen her memory in doing that. So I like that continuity, and I like how she is becoming a recurring theme throughout the series for those characters, for Ryan and Graham. Because it's nice to have a grounding on Earth. So obviously we know Doctor Who, they can go anywhere. That's one of the best things about the show. But it's always nice to have the little grounding on Earth that's keeping them remembering, even if it's not a person on Earth that makes them want to go back. It's just having something that keeps them grounded to Earth, that gives them that relatability that they need. And that was what I felt some of the companions recently in the recent years were lacking. They lacked the relatability because Doctor Who in the modern series has an issue of making the companions God at one point in time. Now, obviously, Bell Potts was the exception to that rule, and Martha Jones, because Martha Jones left the TARDIS and Bell Potts became a Cyberman. So, those two are the exceptions, but there was Rose, she literally became a god. Donna became the Dr. Donna. There was Amy, the cracks in time. She had her memory erased through the cracks in time. Clara was the impossible girl. Like all of them, they all have something special about them, and it takes away the relatability factor for them. So yeah, that's what I like about these new companions. They have the relatability to them. Anyway, I'm gonna end off this review here because I'm gonna go on ranting about Doctor Who for hours. But if you enjoyed this review of Rosa, please do hit that like button. Your support is very much appreciated. And let me know what you thought about Rosa in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.